In the spring of 2022, Parker decided he needed a break from city life. He booked a small, secluded cabin in the middle of a dense forest. The property had several identical cabins, but the trails connecting them were faint and almost invisible, as if they were used only when the cabins were first built. Parker didn't have any plans. Just a few days away, some coffee, a fireplace, and the quiet of the woods. On his second day, after sleeping in past noon, he threw on a hoodie and went for a walk just before sunset. The forest was calm, almost eerily still except for the faint rustle of leaves under his boots. As he walked deeper into the trees, he noticed two men far off. They weren't moving, just staring down at something on the ground. Something about the way they stood made Parker's skin crawl. He assumed they were guests from another cabin, but the air felt wrong. The trail didn't loop back as he expected. Instead, it led straight into the dense forest. Parker felt the first twinge of fear. Then a low, unnatural scream echoed from behind him, like an elk bellowing, but sharper, louder, wrong somehow. Turning around, Parker froze. The two men were now on the trail behind him, facing his direction. Motionless, silent, his heart raced. Slowly, he backed away, unsure if they were following him. And then, they vanished into the trees. Parker hurried back to his cabin, adrenaline surging. He tried to relax by the fireplace, but the scream came again, this time echoing through the forest like it was right outside his window. Then came the footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, approaching the cabin. Parker looked through the peephole and saw the men, masks, hoodies, standing there as if waiting. He dialed 911, shaking as they knocked on the door. A loud thud shook the cabin, and then they walked off. Police later found a deep mark on the door as if stabbed. Parker never went back. To this day, no one knows who those men were or what they wanted. Riley had recently been promoted at work, which meant traveling to different cities. On one trip, they stayed at a large Airbnb, far bigger than expected. At first, it seemed normal, but as night fell, the house began to creak. Soft thuds, footsteps in rooms that should have been empty, doors opening and closing by themselves. At first, Riley tried to ignore it, chalking it up to the house settling, but the sounds didn't stop. Slowly, they became more deliberate. Riley noticed a chair in the kitchen pulled out. Again, they were sure they hadn't touched it. Then in the back of the house, a dark figure peeked around a corner. Heart-pounding, Riley froze. The figure vanished instantly, but a door slammed somewhere upstairs. Riley's pulse raced. Every step back to the bedroom made the floor creak underfoot, amplifying the tension. They grabbed their phone and called the police, but by the time authorities arrived, there was no sign of anyone else. The host insisted nothing unusual had happened, though Riley knew exactly what they'd seen. Shaken, Riley spent the rest of the week in a hotel, unable to shake the feeling that someone or something had been in the house with them. AE was visiting relatives across the country and booked a small Airbnb in a suburban neighborhood. Late at night, while unloading their car, the host appeared, offering to help carry bags inside. At first, it seemed friendly, but something felt off. The host lingered too long, watching, almost evaluating. Once inside, AE realized the host hadn't left. No door clicks, no sound of them going away. Later, as they cooked and turned on the TV, strange noises came from the darkened part of the house. Something or someone was moving, deliberate, slow. AE noticed the front door unlocked. They were certain they had locked it. The hairs on the back of their necks stood up. Investigating, they glimpsed a shadowy figure moving across the rooms. Panic set in, and AE ran out, calling the police from the safety of their car. They never stayed there again. Even now, months later, AE still shivers thinking about that night, imagining the figure silently watching, waiting,